90 minutes conversation on a very important topic, an interface between human resources, technology, and the transformation that is going on in the manufacturing, particularly in fast-moving consumer goods. The world is changing drastically across all sectors. If you take our example here in Kenya, the education sector is changing, whereby now we're introducing a competence-based curriculum. We have 35,000 schools, 500,000 teachers. The education is going to be technology-driven, but our teachers have major challenges in terms of technology, the issue of training, the issue of skills that are required, the issues of the capacity to be able to deal with transformation. In the health sector in Kenya, we've introduced a new system that is very much technology-driven, that will require significant change in the type of skills and the human resources that require to drive the health sector. This transformation going on in Kenya across various sectors is a transformation that's going on across the entire continent and across the world. And so today we have those who deal with this every day, looking at how is your business changing, how is manufacturing changing, what kind of talent do you require, how do you acquire that talent, how do you manage it, how do you retain the talent. The skills that are required today are not the skills of yesterday. I am a health person, and in the health sector, during the pandemic, we faced major challenges. There were lots of mental illnesses, but we did not have mental health experts. There was a lot of digital technology that was required. The health sector did not have digital health experts. In fact, during the pandemic, there were only 2 universities in the world that were producing digital health experts. Manufacturing of vaccines, manufacturing diagnostics, manufacturing of various items that were required in the health sector required certain skills that didn't exist before. Regulators required people to submit their dossier online that didn't exist in many countries. So the sector was behind, and the sector needed to change. It changed rapidly because of the pandemic, but it's still not there. The same applies in the manufacturing sector. So today, we want to hear from our esteemed panelists on what is it that you deal with every day in your company, in your sector, as the world is changing from into the 4th industrial revolution. If you look at the revolution that we've gone through as human beings, the first industrial revolution, it was mostly about steam power that was being used and water power. The second industrial revolution was about electricity. The third one was about automation and computers. Now we're in the 4th industrial revolution, that now we are dealing with artificial intelligence, we're dealing with Internet of Things, big data analytics, robotics. So it's completely changing the way that we operate as human beings. So with that, I would like to welcome our panelists. The first part, I would like just for them to introduce themselves, say something little about you, and then we'll go through a whole discussion. So I'll start with Subrata Dey. You just want to please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Patrick. Thanks for the introduction. Kudos to you and your team for doing a great job in terms of the evolution that you talked about within the education sector and other sectors. Thanks. So to introduce, firstly, good afternoon, everyone present here. I'm Subrata. I head talent acquisition for Safal. I also am responsible for employer branding and compensation and benefit within Safal Group. And as Safal, we are, do I brief about the company as well, or how much time?
Just something short about the company.
Sure. So as a group, we are present across 9 countries, and for people who are present within Kenya, you would know us as Mabati Rolling Mill in Kenya, and as a group, so we are present across 9 countries, majorly a manufacturing setup into building materials and building solutions. That's very brief about me. Thank you.
Thank you. Connie?
So good afternoon, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Connie. I'm the head of HR at Tropical Brands. And at Tropical Brands, we pride ourselves with home care products, personal care products, car care products, and also in the food division. And we run by Build Kenya, Buy Kenya, because we believe in some of the products that we have are definitely of good quality. And we'd like to meet the consumer needs, try to understand them and try to meet them the safest way possible and give them quality products. So I'm really looking forward to today's discussion on sustainability and of course how we can incorporate technology to it and what role do I play as HR in that. So I'm really looking forward to today's discussion. So thank you.
Thank you. Isaac?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Patrick. My name is Isaac Sigada. I work for Hako Industries. My role is a human resource business partner. I lead the organization development and change. Hako Industries majorly produces local goods, that is home care and personal care. I think we're in the same space with Connie, but now my role specifically comes in organization development and change, moving from contract manufacturing from international companies and actually focusing and bridging talents towards local production and supporting that from a talent perspective. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to the insights from this session. Thank you.
Much. Rosalind?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rosalind Kweyu. I'm a HR practitioner, having worked in hospitality industry, retail industry, and security and compliance industry. Looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dixon?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Achayanza Dixon. I'm really very excited to be part and parcel of this session today. And as a HR practitioner, I have practiced in manufacturing from perspectives of plastic technologies, engineering, pharmaceutical manufacturing, and export processing zone, among other entities that I have. Currently, I'm a consultant assisting businesses in areas of people solutions and business solutions with a critical bias on operational forensics and streamlining processes to ensure we leverage on our critical assets and technology to achieve competitive advantages within various spheres of our influence sectors. Thank you so much. Look towards a very robust and engagement this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dixon, since I have you on the screen, how has technology changed what you do, change your company, and change your marketplace?
Awesome, a very fundamental question. Clearly indicated the industrial revolution 4.0, moving away from the rudimentary practice where we have been before. And generally, if we talk about manufacturing, what comes to people's mindset is they want to see people in grease, in oil. They want to see all workforce tired and skilled and educated, among so many other things. But the evolution at workplace, particularly with the advent of technology, has really called into a situation whereby the workforce we are having need to be upskilled, and so investment into areas of upskilling and reskilling for purposes of being able to leverage on the skill edge we have and the technology edge we have to safeguard our markets and ensure that our competitive advantage is not only just retained but expanded, has been one of the critical areas that we have focused on, both in areas of practice and the clients I deal with on day-to-day basis. So there is a lot of nexus between competitive advantage in the current marketplace and the leveraging on technology and skills. And from HR perspective, one of the most critical things is where do we therefore employ these technologies or these innovations within our workplace. And so clearly from how we attract talent, how we are able to arrive at the right talent, leveraging on technology by use of not just the traditional approaches of attracting and recruiting talent, but emphasizing and employing technology in areas to do with ERP as a very critical platform, and having a HR information management system that is able to assist us acquire talent, reschedule, get the right profiles, and ensure interviews are scheduled within the system, automatically allocating the right resources you have within your workplace, engaging the talent that is still not yet onboarded and onboarding them through the system has been one of the areas that we focused on, and efficiency and short turnaround time has been very critical. Not to say that also leveraging on that has been able to give us greater insights in terms of what metrics we are looking at, what insights we are looking, what type of reporting we are able to look at from point of view of what is in our database, who have we been able to interview, what out of the sample space that we are able to get, how many were successful, how many turned down the offers, how many are the candidates that we can still be able to retain within the database. And so technology has really changed very, very enormously. And even as we work onto this, as we move into this, the element of moving from paper to paperless operations is one critical area that we are focusing on. Initially within the manufacturing sector, even from the aspect of just having attendance issues, recording. We used to have those small cards. Then from small cards, you need to manually mark, sign when individuals are in. But we have transitioned from that into the swiping card, and now we're leveraging on biometric system where automatically data is captured automatically into the system, directly related to payroll, and you are able to have a shorter turnaround time in payroll processing, shorter turnaround time in being able to account for the workforce that you have within your workplace, who is in, who is out, who is on sick leave, who is on maternity leave, who is on paternity leave. So technology has really revolutionized what happens in the workplace from the point of view that we have information on our fingertips within a short period of time, efficiency, quality, integrity, and non-manipulability of the data we do have.
Thank you so much for a very comprehensive response. I'll have follow-up questions later. Subrata, any thoughts on this question?
As my fellow panelists, Mr. Dixon have covered, manufacturing is changing and it has both sides of it. One is this significant transformation which is happening around digitization, around automation, sustainability. Also, there's a huge element because traditionally, if I talk about from a Safal Group perspective, the attrition rate within our company, within the manufacturing segment is extremely low. So that means when we have people working for us for many years, we are talking about reskilling them, how they would be relevant with those transformations. So a huge amount of our investment also goes in the reskilling of the talent pool, not only from an attraction perspective, but also people who are there. So it's an interesting phase because things are changing at the click of your button, right? So a lot of things which were relevant 5 years back is no longer relevant. So it's an interesting phase to be in, and we see there has been a lot of transformation happening in all functions. HR is one, and apart from that, you talk about the shop floor, you talk about every function has adapted and need to adapt to the changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Subrata. Connie?
Okay, so thank you for that. When it comes to technology, I think it's one of the areas where we really need to have to be abrupt to it. So when it comes to being paperless and using an ERP system that can be able to automate almost all the HR system, it's one of the things that Tropical Brands has really invested in so that our work is easy, onboarding, offboarding, biometric system, everything is literally done on the system. And also just trying to make sure that the IT department brings up to speed on what is changing in the market as we speak, with AI, just trying to train us on what we really need to learn about the technology that is changing. As we speak right now, we are looking at having sessions every other month so that we can be trained on Power BI. How can we be able to get our data and reports just by a click of the system, and you're able to get all your reports from Power BI. And I think as you continue, IT is going to be one of the things that every HR should be able to bring up their people to speed, and every other time ensuring that you're trained and you improve the current skills that you have, because being abreast and being when you ensure that your people have the right technology and have the right skills, I think that would be the right way to go. And the team has been able to ensure that this is done on a monthly basis, and all the reports are usually done to ensure that all this is done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Connie, Isaac?
Thank you for that. So in matters technology, I think it's actually a very key level in terms of transformation within the workspace. Particularly, I will actually highlight more around from a talent perspective, how we actually empower the staff to actually be able to adapt to this change, basically with minimal resistance to it as well, in terms of how do we actually bridge the talent gaps from that view, in terms of by how we actually define, that is from a work role segmentation, highlighting in terms of how do you actually bridge in terms of the key roles to actually get more impact by use of actually technology. Here at HACO, in terms of from a technology perspective, we are utilizing workflows in terms of how we're using in terms of the Microsoft tools, we're using the Copilot in terms of AI as well, in terms of developing simple workflows on how to actually reduce the turnaround work aspects. This is being replicated across different functions, more from a productivity tracking perspective, that is through manufacturing and also the sales force, the sales team as well. And it has actually been very much integral in terms of bridging not only HR needs, but also business needs from a wider perspective. Yeah, that in summary is more about the technology space and what we've been able to actually do so far.
Thank you. Rosalind? Rosalind, I think you're muted.
Sorry for that technical hitch, Dr. Patrick. Yes, IT is revolutionary. It is here with us. It is here to stay. And from a HR perspective, this is quite critical, right from talent attraction, being recruitment, to time and attendance. And for those of us who have worked in retail where we deal with, where we are labor intensive, even to basically assessing our employees before they start working in an area where we want to minimize risks. Technology is applied to performance management, to payroll, and more so to data analytics. Technology is an area that we cannot run away from. As HR, it is our responsibility to ensure that all our talents, where applicable, are actually skilled in this area, and it is an area where we have to sit in the board or on the boards and negotiate for budgets that will help us actually reskill our employees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for responding to that question. About 5 years ago, I co-organized a meeting that brought together all the mobile money companies from around the world to talk about the challenges that we are facing, the technology that existed at that time, and also the human resources to be able to escalate, or rather expand the capacity to make mobile money accessible and to address issues of financial inclusion. Almost every company stated that their biggest challenge was talent. Talent to attract talent, first, not to attract existing talent. In the financial services, in the mobile money market, the talent was almost non-existent at that time. There was very limited talent. The sector was growing so rapidly, and they were having mega challenges. 2 years ago at COP28, I co-chaired a session that looked at issues around climate change, and literally every country stated that their biggest challenge was getting climate experts on issues of policy, on issues of financing, on issues of strategy, on issues of implementation. So it seems to me that these emerging areas where talent is very scarce, there are a lot of training is required from pre-service to in-service. So I'm just wondering, as HR, how do you deal with issues where talent is scarce or is limited, and you're all competing for the same market? I'll start with you, Rosalind, since you're on the screen.
What we are doing, number one is collaborating with institutions, learning institutions, to have awareness sessions in these institutions just to get their buy-in, the students, on the services that we offer in our organization, so that we can partner with them from the attachment stage. And from this stage, we are able to identify talents that are fit for organization. And upon their graduation, actually, where one is willing, we offer them employment. So this is how we create talent pipeline. And these I have applied mostly where I was working in retail, where getting talent for sections like fresh food sections was quite an uphill task, especially in the area of butchery, in the area of fishery. It was an uphill task. And this is how we were able to actually resolve this particular challenge. Another methodology is having in-house training centers where we skill or upskill the existing talent. This is how we have been able to, or rather we were able to bridge this gap. For management roles, we collaborate with institutions like Strathmore for management programs, and also for upskilling and making sure that we retain the existing talent. So these are just two approaches. And from a retail space, we also worked closely with the government-owned National Youth Service, which basically is, I'll say, a one-stop shop for talent, especially for the retail space, where you'll be able to get from shelf stockers to, because they have a business school, they have engineering school, they have craft schools, they have catering schools. So from this particular institution, actually, from an early stage, we partner with them and we are able to get talents that are fit for that particular space. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The excellent suggestions. Regarding management programs, Fabian from my team, I'll ask you later to talk about what we also doing Because on the managerial side, there's a significant component. It takes many years to produce one manager. And how do we support managers to be able to support the changing environment? Subrata, what are your thoughts on this issue?
So for us, what we have seen specifically within this sector, and I believe all my fellow panelists would agree that this industry the manufacturing sector have gone through a massive change in Africa, across the world. And a couple of things which has really touched upon, and as Isaac put across, or Connie put across, or Dixon put across, digitization, automation, and has been one of the key factors, right? So one of the key factors, which meant that when we are recruiting today, there are few functions where we would also look for cross pollination. So traditionally, if I'm from a steel background, and when I look for few functions which did not exist 10 years back, like for example, the supply chain analytics, or a demand planner within the supply chain, which did not exist within a traditional manufacturing steel company. And this talent definitely existed in some of the sectors like FMCG or consumer durable industry, where the supply is a backbone of their function. So cross-pollination of talent is one of the factors. As Rosalind had put across, catch them young. So we have internally a program as a young builder program. So through which we also have tie-ups with colleges, universities, and who feeds into our talent pipeline through the graduate training and the management training program. So that's one. The second thing, cross-pollination, and the young builder program. Another thing that we have done over the last multiple years has been the buzzword. We call it within the HR the employer branding. But what we did is, employer branding is just not about the external branding that you do about the organization, employee stories, but we also have something as what we run within Safal. We call it as a program called Safal Scouts. So Safal Scout is an internal referral program. So who can be your best ambassador than your internal employees? So for every job that you would look into our website, we also have a referral program internally. So if I'm an University of Nairobi graduate, and I'm working with Safal, and if I refer, when I speak with my colleagues or my junior, it becomes easier for them to convince than me going out and posting a job and attracting, because the proof of pudding is in eating it. So we have the referral program which works for us. And another element that we also do is through the leadership, which is also part of the employer branding, is the programs that we associate with our partners. For example, as MRM or as Mabati Rolling Mill, we have a lot of interface with the architects, the consultants. And when we go in those forums, when we talk about our positioning or the technology changes that we are doing, that also helps us attract talent. So these are few things that we really touch upon: employer branding, both internal and external, cross pollination from different sectors. That's second. And the third I would categorize is the young builder program, which is basically the graduate training programs and having those. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those insights. Connie?
Okay, I think I'll just mention 5 points. First is on performance management. We've moved from the annual reviews to now regular checkups, and we call them the personal development reviews, where you get feedback loops from your manager on ways that you can definitely improve on some of your KPIs, and of course being recognized for some of the things that you're really doing well. Other than that, we've also looked at career growth. We've had a grow within internal mobility programs where we promote from within and we recognize people who've really stood out within their departments. And if there's an opportunity for them to rise, to get a rank higher, we consider them, and we have a few employees who've actually been considered and actually are taking up higher roles within their departments. And how do we keep them into those positions? Of course, we have a training center at Tropical Brands. We've partnered with farms where they come in and train our people, and we've also taken some of them to the Strathmore program so that they can also get trainings on the early manager training or the leadership, senior management leadership programs. And with that, we've really seen retention has really gone high at Tropical Brands. Other than that, let's look at the wellness and work-life balance. So what I've done is with our medical insurance policy that is all mutual, during International Women's Day and International Men's Day, we have a full checkup for all the men or all the ladies in-house at the workplace, where they come, they're totally, they're checked on everything, because probably some of them don't even have the time to go for the wellness checkup, and also have a health talk on some of the things that are ailing both ladies and the gentlemen right here at our workplace. And that somewhat, helps us to prevent some of the issues that we face at the workplace. And even so, we are able to keep them in touch with consultants or doctors who are going to follow through with them even after the main checkup day. On the fourth one is early talent programs. I think everybody has talked about the graduate management trainee. We started this in 2023, and we've seen retain around 4 of them. One, I think, marketing. We have an IT lady that we retain, and this has really helped us tap into young talent, train them, mentor them, of course, and seen them grow within the ranks. And the last is on employee voice and engagement forums. I think all of us are in the manufacturing industry, and we work with unionizable employees. And it's important to have town halls, have town halls with the employees so that you're able to address issues before really they grow out of hand, and also keep them involved and informed about what is happening in the organization. And how do we do that? We have biannual newsletters that we prepare that captures all the sectors, all what the departments are doing, what they're working on, and also a sector where we can recognize employees, of course, in the HR part. So that really keeps them abreast on what is happening in the organization. And we've really seen over the years that retention has really, really gone high. And we are open to feedback, also suggestions that employees bring to our attention. We are really open to hear what they have to say. And I think just to mention a few, that is what we've managed to do at Tropical Brands.
Thank you very much, Connie. As a medical doctor, I know that getting men to screen is the biggest challenge. Women have many opportunities to be screened. They're quite responsible because they always take kids to the clinics and others. But getting men, how has that worked out for you?
So what we do is we separate the annual checkups where we have a specific day just for men, and we ensure that everybody is available and the schedules are available for them to attend. And also the health talk person that comes in is somebody who's, of course, can be able to relate with men and speak to them freely. With our training center, it's a very good space for them to really speak out and also follow through in case they have a problem or they need a specialist or a consultant who they could really ask questions. So that's how we've managed to do our Tropical Brands. And we've actually seen, this year we had a very big turn up for men. More often than not, they really don't turn up, but this year they really turned up and they spoke and they really had a very good conversation with the consultants. So, and the feedback after that session from the employees, they really appreciated the fact that this time around we separated it and they had time to speak about their issues. So that worked for us this year. We listened to the feedback we got last year and implemented that.
Thank you. Very good.
Yeah.
And Dixon.
Basically, I mean, the team has really spoken to the real staffs They may have different colors, but they are all pointing toward the same thing. Ross has spoken about it, Subrata and Connie. I'll talk about it just by exemplifying two specific areas and what we're doing currently elsewhere. While we're within the plastic packaging industry, what we realized that it took the majority of the operators, machine operators, were individuals that were having very less skills, but they've been there long enough. So they just mastered the act of autonomous maintenance of machines and being able to take care of the product. But then a time came when we had to have a shift in terms of our SKUs. And based on that, it therefore required that a move from the original technology we were using to a new technology we had to adopt. And so it was very challenging to find them to be able to deliver on time. What did we do? We engaged in a program where we needed individuals who had some prior knowledge in terms of machine handling and machine technologies. And the area where Ross is coming in, we collaborated with NYS to get graduates from there, from the engineering areas, who we hired directly.
It's frozen. Isaac, can you hear me?
Hello?
I'm saying, I think he's frozen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe to add in and also having an appreciation of what my fellow panelists have actually shared, I believe in terms of sustainability, in terms of how you actually manage this scarce talent. So from my view, and also the approach that you've taken as Haku, is actually asking yourself from a supply focus of our talent, how do you actually plug in and be sure in terms of how do you actually sustain this talent? So from sourcing, we reach out and partner with institutions, depending on the work role segmentation we've actually mapped. For example, for subject matter expert roles, we actually reach out to institutions which are very specific to that particular segmentation of role. Also, for example, when it's actually leadership and core critical roles, reach out to institutions which actually run, how do I call it, management leadership programs as well. For example, if it's for the core workforce and also for other general roles as well, we plug into that. So we come up with partnership programs whereby, for example, with institutions, we use our marketing to actually market our products in terms of, for example, in the universities. At the same time, we plug in terms of staff, basically students who are actually coming, get into internship programs, and we actually develop a pipeline on how we actually source on a regular basis and actually to train the staff. The other bit is that basically maintaining, because that one is sourcing, but how do you actually retain internally? I will say from our approach as HACO is we need to actually have 50% of our organization actually growing internally, which is a KPI for us as HR to actually challenges to how to build actually these technical and leadership skills. In general, I think the best approach that actually worked for us is more getting more career lattice approach, not just the horizontal. For example, if you find a staff is actually in QA, quality assurance, how do they bring the talent in terms of they don't have to end up as the head of QA, but can actually move into either R&D, can actually move in from R&D into marketing, or can actually move into procurement. So basically, you're able to actually do a skills matrix and actually map more from a technical and leadership and start working in terms of how do you actually bridge. So it helps in terms of ensuring that there is a future for tomorrow across how you manage actually different talent pipelines. Key in that also as well is also from a education perspective through still partnership for growth and retention. We partner with institutions such as HELP as well through GNMISHA programs. How do you actually plug in so that our staff who wants to actually grow and actually be trained within the organization, how can we sustain you from that diploma to actually pull it to a degree, from a degree to a master's, and actually able to fully grow within that particular talent pipeline. And finally, we'll say through also through retention is through learning, that is mostly for technical skills, which have also been part of the many other engagement activities aside from the normal engagement calendar to basically have a pulse check of what our employees are actually feeling and actually be very intentional in what we're actually pushing to ensure that we have them actually fully engaged and actually retain them for the business purposes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dixon, we cut you off, the system cut you off towards the end before you finish what you're saying. So please, would you please proceed? Thank you, Isaac.
Sorry for that, guys. So generally, I'll break it into a number of little ones. So interventions we had for purposes of plastic and packaging. One, to ensure that we are able to liaise with institutions that had talent that we needed to attract and retain. Two, we had those short-term training, technical trainings for our team to upskill them to the levels we thought were relevant to serve our businesses. And three, considering that majority of the senior tech people or engineers were aliens, as in expatriates, we had very robust understudy programs, very structured from day one to the time when the work permits are expiring, to make sure that there is clear-cut technology transfer from the expatriates we were having to the individuals we have. More often than not, it was that there was no program for that. And you'll keep on renewing work permit, and then at the end of the day, you're complaining about payroll costs due to expatriate expenses. We did that, and we were able to really achieve a very robust work environment downtown in terms of machinery, maintenance, and cost in terms of repairs and spare parts, and it was great. So in the interest of time, I'll just jump to the other aspect where we had 2 levels of interventions, 3 levels. One was management training program where we had in the pharmaceuticals, which was preceded by a program we call Future Leadership Program that now identified key individuals for purpose of succession planning and developing the team and the talent within the organization that was very robust. And this had a lot of collaboration and synergy with also our global partners within the organization, so that the practices we are having around intervention we are having equip them to be able to be seconded into other entities across the globe for the businesses that we were working on, because it had a number of entities across. So we leveraged on that, and secondment also as a way to be able to nurture, to grow, and ensure that the talent was inbuilt. Of course, in addition to other interventions, retention interventions that made sure that the right talent we are also taking good care of the talent, creating enabling environment for them, and ensuring that there is a clear career path for them, growth, to be able to retain them. At the moment, what we're doing is, from the part of view, we are having programs we call the Work Readiness Program, where we identify youth in various fields. We equip them with various skills, technical and or human skills, not soft skills, so that they become more competent, more able to become plug and play for business when they really want them. Currently, we have a program we are having for the first cohort of individuals. We are exposing them to technology, IBM technologies, training them so that they're able to understand various tools they need to use and get digital jobs or get employment wherever they are. And we are going further, not just to train and make them ready, but also to seek for placement for them where we are able to. So we are the first cohort, which we have currently and will be expiring in the 5th of November.
Thank you very much for those insights, very useful. So now I'm going to ask a very provocative question to each of you. The question is, in light of everything that we are discussing now, what keeps you awake at night regarding your sector, your company, and what are some of your thoughts to be able to address what keeps you awake at night? And I'll start with Isaac.
Thank you, Patrick, for that. What actually keeps me awake is I would say it's basically the current economic change that is actually happening in the business, and it's affecting in terms of how we actually are able to manage business, and also the evolving talent that is within the job market as well. So that we find that different outcomes in terms of there are very unexpected eventualities which actually are affecting business right now, be it political, economic. For example, on our end, if we get out of stock on our raw materials, you find that production is actually halted as well, which affects the entire distribution. So how do we actually ensure that I've actually an engaged workforce that is constantly actually delivering, such that and how do I actually ensure that I actually am able to actually fully have them focused on actually performance without interruptions? So find my scope actually I end up moving out of the HR space to now follow up on business elements to ensure they're actually okay, to ensure that the talent which is within my purview is fully engaged and I'm managing performance at that end. So you find through the evolution of HR itself, you no longer just look at HR. You now have to plug into every aspect of business and understand what are the different levels that are turning, which will come and impact you. So you start looking at it from that spectrum and be ready for any particular change that may come up.
Thank you so much. Connie, you're asked to leave early because of other commitments. Do you want to share with us what keeps you awake at night?
Okay, what keeps me awake at night is if you look at the manufacturing industry, right now we only, 20 years ago, we used to contribute to 15% of the GDP. But right now the manufacturing industry is only contributing 7% of the GDP. What that means is, of course, less companies are producing locally, and a lot of imports are really coming through. And that has also reduced or rather increased the level of unemployment, which right now is at 37%. So in every standard home, if you look at a standard home in Kenya where you have 3 or 4 siblings, in every 3, one of them is definitely unemployed. So how can we change that? My role as a HR person in the industry is looking at issues or problems in Kenya right now, and looking at how we can resolve it in Kenya in terms of manufacturing, in terms of solving that problem. Is it a product that we need to manufacture? Is it a service that we need to do? What is it that Kenya or industries in Kenya can do so that we can reduce the level of unemployment and also sustain the companies that are currently in Kenya? Because every other day companies are going down because, of course, business is really getting tough out here. But what role can I play as HR to sustain Tropical brand, and not only sustain, but grow it and employ more people, or not just employ, come and train them so that when they go out there, they're able to have the right skills to also create employment in other sectors or others, the interest that they are into right now. The Gen Zs are quite opinionated, quite empowered. They really want to take things into their hands. So I think Dixon mentioned they have, world readiness program. How can we make them more ready for the world and also solve the problems that we have out there in the industry? By so doing, they'll be, employing 1 or 2 people and increasing, reducing the level of unemployment. And of course, the issues that we have right now with, people being unemployed, all these mental issues, I think we'll be able to resolve that. So that's what really keeps me up at night. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Towards the end, I'll talk about the challenges of what universities are producing and what the market needs, and the linkage between what we are training our Kenyans on and what the market wants, and what are the gaps and how we can close those gaps. I'll mention that towards the end, but thank you so much for those points. I know that you have to leave at 4 o'clock, so you can leave at your pleasure whenever you feel like, as we continue for the next 30 minutes. Thank you so much, Connie, for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. May I ask Dixon for some thoughts along these lines?
I think Connie was reading my mind. I think we may be having nightmares, all of us, just looking at how the economy is dwindling and particularly the passion for the youth in terms of sustainability, in terms of being able to be productive citizens of this country. My greatest worry has been around two things. One, the advancement in technology with respect to AI and what AI portends for us. A lot has been spoken about AI and its impact on the economy in the near future, in the immediate and in the near future. And therefore, the greatest concern here is where is the HR space when AI is coming in? Is HR aligning itself? Because I realize most of us within the HR space, we are a little bit slow in adoption of technology and employment of technological tools. And so just a big challenge is how can I be able to impact my colleagues, all of us within the space, and be ready to leverage on AI and technological advancement for purposes of competitive advantages for business and for our own growth, and to see to it that the economy of the Republic of Kenya can grow and empower the youth to be able to go into the digital economy and be able to generate revenue for themselves and for the state. I know like today there is a policy paper on PPO that was being launched by the government. Wondering is to what extent have they had expression of key critical stakeholders in terms of coming up that policy paper. If you look at it, Malaysia and other areas in Middle East, Kenya becomes another soft landing ground for the same, and it's really growing a lot. And even from Kenya, they're now using it as a launch pad for Ethiopia, Rwanda, Burundi, and the rest of the countries. So my worry is, how are we prepared to be able to ensure that we leverage on the same, and even as it grows, one, compliance issues with respect to rights, human rights, or issues related to wellness for our young people who are working into call centers, and the same industry is well taken care of, protected under a proper regime or framework.
Thank you so much, Dixon, for those thoughts. Very good. Rosalind, what keeps you awake?
For me as a HR practitioner, what keeps me awake at night is how to sustain employment of my people through a profitable business, and in an environment that is cutthroat, stiff competition, and also very tough economic times. And the only differentiator is in terms of service delivery. And this service delivery is through our people. And today, it may not be necessarily about skills, but about what is it that is eating our people, emotional intelligence. So understanding the people that we are working with who are driving our business is very, very critical. So as we skill them, as we reskill them, as we upskill them, it is also important that we understand the challenges that they are facing as individuals, and how do we come in actually to support them. And by so doing, the productivity will be increased, the service delivery will differentiate us from the rest. And we have to do this by ensuring that we stay compliant. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those thoughts. Subrata?
So, thank you. Thanks, Dr. Patrick. For me, as from an HR practitioner, there are two major things. With the changing work environment or workspace, one thing which has become very one of the key focus would be having or designing a competitive compensation strategy. That is one of the most important element, because we need to attract good talent, retain talent, and we also need to ensure that based on various environment, which affects an employee's salary, with new taxes, with those elements. We also are competitive in terms of our compensation strategy. How do we ensure it does not affect people? So that is one, and there is always a pressure from the business that the HR cost should not increase. So how do you balance both is a key factor. And with all manufacturing companies, you'd agree that one of the important element is also the HR cost. That's a big line item. Yeah. So that is one. And the second, another element which comes is I think everybody would agree. We are getting into that phase where we would work with three generations together in the business. You'd have the Gen X, you'll have the millennials, and you have the Gen Z. So Gen Z, when you have all the three guys in the same department, you can understand the chaos. You can understand as an HR, you can understand all three have different expectation. A Gen Z wants to, with the first job within 3 months, he's asking about the career path and asking about when is the next promotion happening, right? Even not spending one year within the business, right? So I don't blame the generation, but that's the expectation. That's Gen Z, right? And then you have the millennials who would have gone through various changes. They would want. They're talking about purpose. They're talking about. And then you have the Gen X. If you have a late Gen X, he's approaching retirement. So, and now if he is the HOD and you have a Gen Z coming in, they totally have a different approach to work. One would talk about hybrid. Can we have work from home? Work-life balance, which might not be the vocab which is being used by the traditional manufacturing setup. So balancing as an HR, balancing three generations together is one of the important factors, and that's where we talk about employee engagement. And employee engagement is it cannot be a cut across. It cannot be a fit all size, right? So how do you approach those elements? So these are the two elements. One is having a competitive compensation strategy and having an HR strategy around various generation. Leave apart the culture, but also various generation, because everybody has a different need. So thank you.
Thank you very much for this very exciting feedback and conversation around the challenges that we face today in our country and across the continent. And these are challenges that are getting worse. You all talked about the economic situation in the country. You talked about the very high unemployment that all of us as Kenyans face in our families. The different generations that are at workplace, the issues of how do you compensate people, the issues around the kind of skills that are being produced, and the challenges around that. And us as an institution, our biggest challenge is that in this country we have 68 private and public universities, about 34 private universities and 34 public universities, and about 4 of them in the various stage of accreditation. If they're under interim authority to operate, awaiting to get their charter. And as we look at the training that we have in Kenyan universities, and what the market needs is a serious gap. You find that you've talked about skills in AI, skills in emotional intelligence, skills in spiritual intelligence, skills in digital field to make Kenya a true Silicon Savannah. So we face this very serious challenge that having spent so much time in Asia, I see a very big gap or very big difference. In many countries in Asia, Korea, for example, you find that the faculty at universities are mostly industry practitioners. So you have someone, for example, working at Samsung, also teaching at the university, teaching electronic engineering. And it's the practical skills of what's going on in the field that students are being taught. If you work in the pharmaceutical sector, you have people who are practitioners in the pharmaceutical sector teaching at the university, in the School of Pharmacy, in the School of Pharmaceuticals and stuff like that. And so the students know the latest technology, the latest knowledge of what's going on, and many of them end up being interns in those in those industries, and then many of them get hired in those industries. And here in our country, I feel that there's a big gap whereby students during the internship, they're basically left on their own to determine where you're going to go for internship, look for your own internship, and the professor will come and check how you're doing. And I think that HR, you as HR professionals, you have a role in that. How do you closely link with the universities to ensure that the talent that's being produced is exactly what you want in the market, and you'll be very eloquent and articulate about where we are going, and the challenges that keep you awake at night. So the question therefore becomes, what's the best way to ensure that our institutions, our training institutions, our TVETs, our universities, our vocational training centers actually produce the talent that you want? Any thoughts on that, Subrata, since you're on the screen?
Sure. Definitely you picked up the right message in terms of many locations you'll see the industry professionals being teaching the students, right? Or there is a very strong network between the education institute and the industry, which helps also, and the industry is actually determining the curriculum, which would be important. So one of the factors that we are also working with our manufacturing setup, we work with universities in terms of on the HHE programs or the internship programs. We also encourage them to approach in terms of when it comes to graduate training programs. We have our a strong network with universities when we are running the graduate training program or graduate induction. We actually reach out to those universities so that they can send their students, and we actually do go through that process of the recruitment and the selection process. So that is one. Another thing also which becomes quite important is how much as an institute, how do you have an interface of industry professionals coming and speaking to your students, having those it could be a mentorship program, or it could be also because today with the technology, LinkedIn, you can find anybody, you can reach out, and how do we leverage on those technologies in terms of having mentorship program. And yeah, so I think those two elements becomes very, and a structured mentorship program. You talk about if, for example, if you have you have a law school, right? So how are you partnering with the large law firms in terms of having a structured program where they get to experience what's actually happening. So I think that interface needs to be stronger rather than waiting for the for the students to graduate and then they have been exposed. And two major skills which I feel have become extremely important. One is the adaptability. When we talk about adaptability, the reason being the technology is changing every 5 years, every 3 years, every 2 years. So adaptability is quite important. And the second which has become extremely important with this, the changes what's happening is a cross-functional collaboration. So your interpersonal skill, how as an institute, how you are developing adaptability, how you are enhancing the collaborative skills of the students also become important, because as soon as they come to the work space, they just don't work in production. They would have to work with supply chain, they would have to work with maintenance, they would have to work with sales, and that collaborative skill helps them sustain in that environment.
Thank you very much, Subrata. Rosalind, you talked about on this question. You talked about the partnership you have with NYS. I thought that was quite interesting. And any thoughts on how that can be expanded to also include other institutions?
Actually, it's not just NYS only, but through RETRAC, which is the Association for the Retail Trade, we actually managed to initiate curricula on shop floor employees, basically stockers. And this is under the piloting stage, and all the stakeholders were involved, especially the HR, in developing this curricula. And I can confidently state that this is one way of addressing the skills gap and ensuring that institutions actually produce workers that are fit for that particular industry. NYS, interestingly, for the retail space, they seem to be quite a fit or a match, because if you are looking for, let's say, the sections of FMCG, they have a school that is tailored for the same. If you're looking for cashiers, there is a business school that is basically tailored for the same. What is lacking in the Kenyan space, especially especially for the retail, is the fresh food area. It's an area where we don't have skills completely, and that is why, as HR, we partner with institutions, and we've also, in my time in retail, we came up with an in-house school to address these gaps. And in acquiring talent from NYS, we don't just acquire, but we work together with NYS, and we request for specific skills, and they are able to give us, they are able to shortlist for us and then give us for assessment. And also the graduate program is one way where we are able to mold these workers, having undergone a comprehensive induction program that will touch on each and every section, so that by the time they graduate, actually, they are kind of tailor-made for this particular space. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosalind. So we are a South African university, and we've been a business school for 28 years. And this issue of retail and retail workers has been a big challenge, because the retail sector in South Africa is fairly advanced and sophisticated. And so about 10 years ago, we started producing, we established a business training, which is Bachelor's in Business Administration in Retail, something that we actually don't have here in Kenya. And we'll be discussing various players to see how we can introduce that into the Kenyan market, working with people like you and others, to customize, to make it very relevant to the local situation. Because the sector is growing so rapidly, we eat 3 times a day, Me and my doctor, I know that people only fall sick once. If I asked you the last time you were sick, perhaps 5-10 years ago, but we eat 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes at least once a day. And all of us have an interface with the retail sector. But then we don't have skills that we are producing to sustain that business. I would like to make a transition here and ask Fabian from my team to share some thoughts on issues that have come up. Fabian, issues around entrepreneurship, issues around leadership and management, issues around AI. Fabian, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Osewe. And thank you for the panelists and participants for making time for this very, very knowledge-rich conversation. Yes, as a knowledge institution, we really set out to interact with stakeholders. Key stakeholders among them are the people who are on this call. And yes, because technology is really moving at a very supersonic speed, and whatever happens there cuts across all the sectors. So be it manufacturing, be it the entrepreneurship space, be it spaces of leadership and management. And what really comes to mind is that tech is the enabler, or if you don't take up tech will be the disabler. So I am happy that the panelists were very keen in saying that tech is then like Mr. Dixon Chaenza said, tech is what really moves his business and his sector. I've had similar sentiments. And beyond this is now a cross-functional generation really that has 5 groups of people. Mr. Subrata was very keen and very correct when he was saying that we have the Gen Zs and then we have the Gen Xs. So this really is a space where we want to collaborate with our stakeholders, because tech plays a part. The generational shifts or the generational gaps also play a part. And being a knowledge institution, then our doors are very open, our hands are here to welcome you, so that we see how best can we then collaborate with the institutions to make sure that whatever the generation, whatever the disruptions from tech, you're able to meet the business objectives and grow the different organizations sustainably. I don't know whether Dr. Osewe, you'll allow me to just touch on a number of the interventions that we put in place to help the stakeholders that have really given us this feedback from the marketplace.
Yeah, please just touch on the highlights because we're running out of time.
Okay, fantastic. So highlight, when you look at the generational divide, we have an intervention called Bridging Generational Divides within the workplace. Basically, this tells you as HR leaders or as business leaders, how then do you handle the Gen Xs vis-a-vis the Gen Zs? And you will find out that in the organizations that you run, the HOD is a millennial, and there are people under him or her who are Gen Xs. So how does that play out? We have some interventions on coaching and mentoring. And again, from these generational divides, that is the leadership style to go. And when you look at the HR, the human resource teams, from the individual contributors all the way to the board. And I am happy Madam Mutimu was able to say that what keeps her what gives her sleepless nights is how does he guarantee work? And then for the succession planning for this institution, we have interventions to cover the individual contributors, the HIPPOs, those people that you've been able to identify to promote to the next level, to give them the other responsibilities, the new management team, the middle, the senior, the C-suite, and all the way to the CEO plus the board level. So we have a holistic partnership approach whereby we are able to sit down with you, help you within the spaces, within the sectors that you operate in. We are a super tech university. We're also very heavy in research, being in more than 10 countries gives us the very solid global perspective, so that when we partner with you, we bring to the table beyond the knowledge, beyond the skills, we give you the global best practices and global best trends. Thank you very much. And over to you, Dr. Sere.
Thank you so much, Fabian. So we have 5 minutes, and I'd just like to summarize on a few issues that have come up. The issue of leadership and management. That's a very big challenge in light of technology, in light of generational gaps and all that. And as Regenesis, we've done this for over 25 years, focusing on new managers, new leaders, new middle-level managers, and senior-level managers. We have programs that bring together C-suite level professionals to engage with each other, to go on international trips to learn from each other and also learn from other experiences. For example, going to South Africa, going to India, going to the US as a group, and we organize such trips. There's a lot of learning that takes place within that context. In terms of digital, Africa is changing rapidly. We have a younger population which is tech savvy, led by a few countries in Africa, Kenya being one of them. That's an area that we actually lead in. We are working with some of the leading experts in Kenya, in South Africa, in India, almost 450 of them in India, the top India schools of technology, and also Silicon Valley. So some of the issues that came up today, like AI, we are working with the team that is developing Kiswahili AI, very much on top of the latest information in that regard, to ensure that Kenya becomes the true Silicon Savannah. So we offer short courses, intermediate courses, long-term courses, and also up to bachelor's in computer science, very practical training. We also one of the leading entrepreneurship schools. Every Wednesday, for example, we have women entrepreneurs coming to our school here, and they learn a lot about setting up a business, how to write a successful business plan, how to do fundraising, how to manage your financial resources, how to develop, how to manage human resources, how to manage financial plan. Because what we see is that we work, for example, with the Association of Architects. They say they're very strong architects, and then they go into private practice. They've never managed a business. The same applies to medical profession. The same applies to engineering profession. People finish, they work for years, they start a business, they don't know how to do it. So that's an area whereby we are providing a lot of support to the population. We've also got to about 200 schools and 300 churches focusing on high school students to help them with the career guidance and career choices. Because the challenges that we face, what I faced 30 years ago going to medical school, nobody ever told me what medicine was all about. I just saw a medical doctor dressed in a white robe, stethoscope, and I said, I want to be like him. And that's how I got into medicine. I didn't realize how long it was going to take, how challenging it's going to be. And right when we went to this school, we thought 30 years later, things have changed. Exactly the same issue. There's a lot of confusion amongst young people regarding career choices. We like to partner with you, work with you, and see how we can work with schools. You talk about pipeline of talent, how we can actually promote this pipeline of talent, and also highlight to young people that there are many other professions other than being doctor, engineer, whatever. They can be digital experts, they can be climate change experts, they can be retail experts. There's so many careers out there that the young people don't understand, and also their parents are not aware to be able to help them. We also have, lastly, a program because we realize education financing is a big issue in Kenya and in the region. Many people fail to go to universities because they qualify, but they don't go because of lack of school fees. So we have started what we call education for all, because education is wealth. If you get education, you get wealth, you get money. If you don't get education, you don't get money at the end, and therefore the next generation is also as poor as the previous, if not worse than the previous generation. And therefore, we started a program called Education for All that we are working with companies and counties as well, whereby the student pay 4,000 shillings per month for 36 months. That's about 145,000. They get a degree. And then there's a loan at the end, depending on their financial situation. If they're very low income, we write it off. If they're not very low income, we come up with a payment plan, or when they get a job, they pay. For us, we believe that education should be for all. Our founder is a monk who spent a year in Kangemi, and that completely changed his life when he saw that many people, very bright kids, never went to school because of lack of school fees. So that's what we're implementing now in Kenya, and we are partnering with counties. Coastal counties are taking the lead in this, whereby they're providing scholarship and providing 4,000 per month for many students to be able to get that education. We also negotiate with many companies to be able to provide opportunity for them to deduct 2,000 from the payroll, and the employee contributes 2,000, and after 3 years they get a very first-class degree in any areas of their choice, whether it's ICT, whether it's in public finance, whether in education, in whatever area that is being provided by our university. So I look forward to working with you closely. This is just the beginning of our association with you, and we'll be sending an invitation individually and also collectively for us to get together for lunch. We are based at GTC near Kempinski Hotel in Nairobi, so that we can have a conversation. We can continue a conversation in this very important area. I want to thank you very much, unless someone has something else to say before we close. Any thoughts?
You're just doing a great job. We're just amazed. Looking forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
And Dr. Patrick, you can, because within Safal we also have a Safal Foundation. We run an institute as well as medical center. You can just reach out to me, so I can connect you with our foundation head in terms of with regards to how we can collaborate also. So that's you can reach out to me specifically on this element, where we can look into collaboration where it could support as an organization with.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll reach out and we'll continue our conversation. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.